Bonjour! Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Fasten up your seatbelt and enjoy this journey into Muse World with Lamia Norbert.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of Muse World. So, today we have a new guest, and it's very opposite to last week's episode. Last week, you must have seen Adil, who is the founder of Brotherhood UAE. Today, we have much more of a feminine guest with us. We have Nadine with us. She is a female and leadership coach, but she's also the founder of Sisterhood UAE. Hi, Nadine.
Hello, Mia. How are you doing?
I'm good, and you?
I'm doing amazing.
Thank you for coming on board.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
I can't wait for our conversation.
Me too. So, Nadine, I have a little bit of a tradition at the beginning of the podcast. I want to know, describe me your early years. How was your childhood? Where are you from? And eventually, what brought you to Dubai?
So, I'm born and raised in Germany. My childhood, I would say, was very soft and loving. My parents wanted always a child, but they were having trouble.
Okay.
And they tried for more than 15 years. And after the doctor said finally, like, maybe it's time to give up. Maybe it's just not the right thing to do. They gave up, and then I happened. So I was literally like a miracle child, I would call it. And I was always like the little sunshine. I received a lot of love from my mom and my dad. The only thing was that my dad was very busy. He was a manager working long hours. So I can tell nowadays, as I reflect upon my life, that I had a lack in the real love of my father, as he was very busy with work. And whenever he was there for me. But it came as well with a little condition, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted me to be his loving, beautiful girl that has good grades at school and all these things. And as long as I was like that, everything was fine. But if I wanted to rebel a little bit, then it got a bit tricky. And my father and I, we were fighting a lot. He passed away 6 years ago, but I made beautiful peace with him. So we are on good terms. He's on my right side. And my mom was a mom from home when I was born. And so she had a lot of time taking care. I don't have siblings, so I spent the time often alone, but I had a lot of neighbor children. So I grew up in a really good environment in a small town. School was nice. I loved the teachers, funny thing, and I tried to be with everybody friends.
Okay.
And that was maybe another thing, what I would say, as I tried to please everybody. As you know, I understood if you please everybody, you receive love, which is maybe not the right thing, right?
Yeah, I agree.
But I got bullied as well in school. And so I would say my childhood was very nice because I got everything. Like, I was able to learn instruments, I was able to do dance classes, everything like this. And we were traveling. On the other hand, I had these things like I got bullied, and my father conditioned me with the love. And so it was a balanced childhood, I would say. So yeah.
How did you deal with the bullying at a young age? How did you go about this? Obviously, you're still that innocent soul. I mean, I myself was bullied when I was younger. So I wonder, how did you overcome this?
The funny thing is, when I was younger, I even didn't see it as bullying. I didn't really understand it. I think that came later. But I tried to ignore it in a way. The guys, they were bullying me because I was very small at a certain age. My friends, my female ones, they were already fully like developed in a way, like more looking like a woman. And I was still this child in a way. So they tried to push me out of the class. They just threw me in the trash and all these things, But I said, okay, Nadine, what should you do? You don't have the strength to fight back in a way. So it was like just ignoring it in a way and just saying, it's gonna pass. And inside, it literally just made me stronger. Now, seeing backwards, I see as well patterns that I developed. For example, after a while, I didn't like to go to school after summer vacations anymore. I was afraid. I felt almost sick every time. And my parents didn't understand because I was never telling them.
Yeah.
So, But I told myself, you have to man up, maybe, let's call it like that. And maybe we have this
Yeah.
conversation later on. So it made me really strong.
So let's fast forward a little bit afterwards. What did you do between, like, were you always in Germany before coming to Dubai?
I was most of my life in Germany, living in different places for
Okay.
work. I lived 1 year in Barcelona
Mhm.
during my studies when I did an internship in Barcelona.
Nice.
Beautiful city, very vibrant. And I did a bit of travel and work in Venezuela.
Okay.
So yeah, and I always loved traveling. My home base was Germany,
Mhm.
but in Germany it's very easy to travel around. So Paris is 3.5 hours away from my hometown. You can take a flight 2 hours. You're in Spain. All this. So yeah.
That's beautiful. And were you already practicing at that time over there, when you were in Europe?
You mean practicing?
As in you were already the female and transformational coach at that
I
time?
would say that was as well a journey. So when I finished my A level, I was kind of like a bit lost, as
Okay.
probably a lot of people. I didn't know what to do. My passion would have been being an actress, as I acted in school. But my parents said, no, that's maybe not the best career, money wise, and yada, yada, yada. So I was like, okay, what should I do? So I studied international management, which is very general. And after that, I thought, okay, business world, where should I go? And my father was always like, seek a good company, a big one where you get a safe job, a good salary, a management position, and you're good for life. Nothing will happen to you. So I said, okay, let's try that. So I ended up being in project management, employed first. And I discovered very quickly that I'm good in organization and structuring and everything, but I love to work with people. And so I developed the skills of working more and more with the project team, the human beings, instead of controlling, researching, all these things. And so I said, okay, maybe I should get into coaching, like building teams, understanding how the dynamics are. And that's what I did most of the time in Germany. When I was an employee, I worked as an internal coach, building teams, helping leaders to fulfill their role. And then there was one moment where I kind of like said, okay, I was now in two very big companies. I would like to understand other environments.
Yeah.
So that's when I said, okay, maybe it's now time to jump.
Okay.
The jump means building your own coaching business and having clients still in the corporate world to help them, go through change, go through their transformation. And that's what I did since 2019.
Okay.
And yeah.
And what brought you to Dubai?
It was a channeling, I would
Okay.
say. I did how do you call it? Reiki master teacher training here in Dubai.
Okay.
As I was frequently traveling to Dubai since 10 years. I came for vacations to see how this country was developing. 10 years ago, I was like, maybe it's not the place to live, but I like how it shows up
Train.
every year differently.
Yeah.
And so I came back. And in when was it? 2022, beginning, I did a training here and I had a vision. And in this vision, someone, let's call it my spirit guides, they told me, you make a decision right now. You either move now to Dubai or you will never move to Dubai. And I said, okay, maybe it's the calling. So I decided literally in one day, let's move to Dubai. I already had my company in Germany, so I was able to shift that company to Dubai, keep my clients remotely, as COVID gave us the opportunity to work remotely with almost everybody.
100%.
So it was very easy to transition.
So now would you say you are settled here? This is home?
This is definitely home.
Okay.
I would call it's my second home. The home will always be kind of like Germany, where my roots are coming from, but it feels like home. Even if I know this home can be like a washing machine.
Yeah.
It's a challenging one. And yesterday I just found out when I had a talk with a girl that when you go through astrology, my Pluto is in Dubai. And Pluto is a very transformative planet. So it makes sense why Dubai for me is very transformative.
Okay.
I've been here now my 3rd year. And 2 years I was fully like in ease and joy, just enjoying. I had my, my clients remotely. I was getting to know people. I'm making a lot of friends. Felt really like homey home, easy going.
Okay.
Since this year, there were a lot of shifts where I have my huge transformation happening this year, where I'm completely shifting my career as well in a way again.
Yeah.
It's not away from coaching, it's just a different perspective. I want to focus more on women. Sisterhood was birthed, and a lot of other stuff is happening. So, yeah, it's a good place, Dubai, for transforming people.
Yeah, I agree. So, part of the topics that I really want to discuss with you, because we've had chats outside cameras, like, on when we chat to each other. And it is a subject that truly fascinates me. But I think maybe in the world, people don't know how to use it properly. And that is manifestation.
Mhm.
You are, for me, the manifestation queen
Wow.
from what I've heard. And I was like, wow. So I want to know, in your eyes and based on your personal experience, how would you describe manifestation and how do you think you go about manifestation?
Mhm. It's a very good topic because I just tuned into that maybe 2 years ago. And I was wondering actually the same question as I may be that for you. I have another friend that is the manifestation queen for me because
Mm.
she is like even leveled up. But what is the goal or the principle behind manifesting is the frequency that you are vibrating in as a person.
Okay.
As if you have an understanding, we're not just this body, right? We are
Mm.
not just our mind. We have an energetic body.
Yes.
And we are vibrating on certain frequencies. And if you want to manifest something, it is, first of all, really good that you have clarity in your head
Yes.
what you really want to achieve. You know,
Okay.
if you say, oh, yeah, maybe I want to have a nice life. Yeah, what is a nice life for you? You know, okay, I want to live in a villa. I want to have a car that is an SUV, is new. It gives me the smooth drive somewhere. I want a partner that has a good income, that is humble, that is charismatic. Yada yada yada. You know, you build up like a movie for yourself, right?
Okay.
And you imagine that. And then you have to put yourself into these shoes as if you're already living that dream.
Okay.
You have this already. My friend just literally last week told me because I was dreaming about business class.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, you know, the trick behind that is as well, imagine business class, how it feels, you know, how it looks like. We all walk through it already,
Yeah.
right? So how is it? How do you want to be treated? How are you zipping your champagne in there or,
Of
you
course.
know, eating the delicious food and sleeping, having a good night rest? So you are really like imagining how that feels. That means you are shifting already your vibration. You put
Yeah.
yourself into these shoes. And that's how the universe is understanding, she is wanting that and she is requiring that right now. So let's provide it.
Okay.
And that's how the flow is going then.
But my question is, so when I first started to get a little bit curious about, manifestation, energies and all of that, that was for me a journey as well of discovering and understanding. But what I understood, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's in my eyes, I don't think a lot of people I think are very people that I know that think about manifestation is like, for example, you look at yourself in the mirror, you say, I'm beautiful, I'm wealthy, I'm attracting money, I have the beautiful life, blah, 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 blah. And they think about doing this, repeating this on a daily basis, it's gonna happen. But what for me, I understood that it's more than just saying that, repeating that on a daily basis, right?
Yeah. The thing is, if you're repeating something on a daily basis, it can help you understand that it brings you to the point where you literally believe it. But it depends, you know, you can tell this to you every day. I look beautiful, but if you don't find yourself beautiful from the inside, it's not going to happen. So there is more to it. Saying can help for certain people, but there's action behind that as well. You need to take action in certain ways.
Yes.
If you want to feel beautiful and you don't feel beautiful right now, how can you feel more beautiful? Treat yourself better, you know, give yourself self-love practices, go to do your nails or whatever, you know. You need to get into this mode of like, yes, I'm pretty.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually glad that you mentioned about taking action because I think this is something that people don't understand. They think manifestation is just I write everything and I'm calling for it and it will happen. But
no.
there's also a part where like anything, you need to take action.
Yeah.
It's like when I say I want that dream body, I can't just say I want the dream body and then the next day I'll wake up with like abs and a nice like bum and all of that. There's action in it. There's I need to go train. There's nutrition. There's consistency. There's determination. But I know this is what I want and I'm manifesting for myself in X amount of time, right?
Exactly. It's like very similar. Like I just right now manifested my new home,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a good story. So I thought I have to manifest a new one bedroom apartment as I was living until up till now in a one bedroom. So
Mm-hmm.
I put everything into I want a bright new apartment and looking nicely. But I had a conversation with a shaman of mine in Germany, and he said, no, no, you're not going to live in a one bedroom. You're going to have a villa because you need to organize some events and you need space. I was like, okay, how should I do that right now? I don't know. But he said, trust and have faith, believe in that. So I went to Dubai, and there was this episode where was acting out of the lack of the fear. I need to find a space because I need a home.
Of course.
Otherwise, how should I live here, right? I
Yeah.
cannot stay with friends forever.
Yeah.
So I was looking around for a one bedroom apartment and nothing felt right. No flat I entered felt like, oh, this is my new home. And I was like, what's going on here? I don't understand it anymore. And I almost signed a contract that was not made for me. So many things had to happen. The universe showed me the checks didn't work out. There was a discussion in the contract. This went not really good. And I was like, okay, this is not the right thing. So
Yeah.
I pulled out. And the moment when I let go of this manifestation of the one bedroom, and I said, okay, universe, show me, what shall I do? I kept on talking, and this is still the action. You know, I could have just sat and be like miserable, oh, I didn't find now anything, so please bring me something. That's not
No.
maybe the right thing. So I said, shout it out to the universe. Guys, I'm looking for a home. I had a talk with a friend of mine, and she said, let's have a coffee. By the way, I just moved into a villa, and have a look here. Maybe the universe has something for you. And I'm like, how? Yeah, have a look. So I went to her place, and the moment before I even entered the villa, I said, this is my new home. I know it. And it's turned out to be like exactly like that. But I still took the action step. You know, I went to her, I went to have coffee, we had an amazing conversation. I saw the place and it was done.
Of course.
Sitting just at home, no.
Yeah, I agree. So for you, based on what we're talking about manifestation, what do you think are like the biggest misconception around this topic?
Well, the biggest misconception is as well, don't make too much of a picture that cannot be changed. You know, don't say, I just want a Ferrari. Keep it a bit open. I want a sports car that is fast and drives me safely from A to B. Give the universe choices. It's the same with your relationship, like your loving partner. If you just put details like he has to be 185, he has to be dark color, he has to be this, finance job, yes, it's okay to have a vision, but don't make it too narrow.
Exactly.
Keep it a little bit open so that the universe can actually give you the real thing. Because then you just already kind of narrow yourself down.
Yeah.
Maybe you even get something better. Maybe you can get instead of a millionaire, a billionaire.
Yeah.
But if you say, I just want a millionaire, yeah, well, then the right thing is not coming.
Exactly. Okay. This I'm gonna jot down. I'm gonna keep this.
All right.
So, what are for anyone, let's say, who are new to this manifestation world and game and wants to try to attempt it, you know, like they want, like, okay, I want to start my manifestation journey. What would be, let's say, the quick and simple tips?
Watch your language.
Okay.
That's the first of all that I have to remind myself every day. And I see sometimes I'm acting out of the lack. For example, if I say, I hope this goes well, is already acting upon the fear. You know, or lacking something. So have faith. I am gonna do this. This is happening. La la. And so just watch how you speak to other people, how you speak. I just entered Dubai Mall, and when I was entering Dubai Mall and I see these fancy stores like Gucci, Versace, some people say, I don't like it here, I don't feel comfortable because they know they cannot afford it. So I had a discussion with my friend just right now in the mall, and I said, actually, for me, it is that's a lack feeling when
Of
you go
course.
there and you say, "Oh, I feel uncomfortable," because you deserve that. If you want it, you can have it. For me, this kind of things, they're not super important. I like nice clothes and nice hats and all this stuff, but it doesn't have to be Gucci Prada. So that's why I would not maybe go there. But if
Yeah.
I would like to have Louboutin shoes, hey, I require Louboutin shoes. Boom.
Exactly.
And I am worthy of it. I deserve that.
Yeah.
And this is the language. Oh, no, I can't afford it. Yeah.
Okay.
Then it's not going to come.
And any other tips apart from that?
The thing what I just already said, have it clearly somehow picturized as well.
Okay.
Not like detailed, but have it like set up, and always bring it in front of you. I always say as well, manifestation, I love to do vision boards, just vision boards to envision the things, If you want to fly business class, put it in the vision board. If you want to travel to Sri Lanka, put it on your vision board so that you can already say, oh yeah, Sri Lanka, it's going to happen somehow,
Exactly. Thank you. I really like that. And obviously taking action.
Yes.
Yes. So now let's move to another topic,
Right.
which it's still in the same, I would say, vibe, but something that I can see everywhere. A lot of people talk about it nowadays, mainly in Dubai. It is the masculine and feminine energy. So I want to know for you, what is this description? What do you categorize as a feminine energy and what do you categorize as a masculine energy?
So first of all, maybe to start, as we are human beings, right? We are both now women. But just to saying, masculine and feminine energies, every human being has these energies. It doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman, or, another gender. It is about the balance of both. That's why I call myself sometimes even, I help people align themselves.
Yeah.
Because I help them to understand what kind of energy is more present in your life. And is it maybe a more wounded energy right now, or is it a mature energy already?
Okay.
So, for example, feminine energy, when it's wounded, you're sometimes very naive, you're really emotional, hyper emotional. You are sometimes too much flaky, you cannot make decisions, you're overwhelmed, and you are sometimes making a drama out of everything, dramatizing everything. In a wounded masculinity, you are sometimes very egocentric. Competition is toxic, you compare yourself in a toxic way. You are chaotic.
Yeah.
And sometimes very bossy and dominant.
Okay.
In a bad way, always the bad side. And these comes when you have traumas that are often coming from childhood, you are triggered more into your toxic masculinity or toxic femininity. And this is disbalance. So when you go into your healing journey and you do some inner child work, for example, and you understand what kind of parts you have to heal, is it either the masculine or the feminine side, then you tune into that. And then you develop other energies in that way, which are more healthier. Like feminine, she knows she's a woman. She knows her worth, her value. She can flow. She trusts and has faith in the universe, right? And that's the feminine healthy energy that a man can have as well, right?
Yeah.
There are even more men that are a little bit more in their feminine energy, but it's not bad actually.
Yeah.
It just depends on what they want to do right now. So feminine healthy energy is this literally this I surrender state, and I have faith that the right things are coming for me, and it's beautiful. It's a lot of, dancing,
Flowing,
wavy, flowy.
yeah.
The healthy masculine, for example, is you have a clear goal and you take the right action steps. You see competition, but you see it in a healthy way. there is space for everybody. You are dedicated to your mission.
Yeah.
And this is healthy masculine, and you are, in a way, you can provide. You cannot provide for someone else, just you can provide for yourself. You give yourself safety. And this is, again, the masculine energy. We women have that too. I would categorize myself even, I'm acting very often more in a masculine way than a feminine way.
Yeah.
As I've been built like that, my father raised me like that, very career oriented, very goal setting. And on my journey, I have to admit that I was tuned into a very toxic masculinity because I always wanted to be the best. I was fighting with my elbows in the corporate world as a woman beside men who did the same job, got higher salaries and all this stuff, so I was fighting a lot with the wrong masculine energy.
Yeah.
After I understood that, because it was so draining, I had sometimes no energy anymore. And I thought, where does that come from? So when I had my awakenings and I tuned more into the spiritual world, I understood, oh, there are these different frequencies how you are acting. And this is as well the feminine and masculine. So I said, I understand right now. It's maybe time to get a bit more in your healthy feminine side, to show as well your clients the feminine way of leading.
Yeah.
I was often leading in the masculine way, which works, but I saw it gave me better results when I was working with a CEO and just showing, I'm still a woman, but I have the skill of empathic.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, empathic listening, right?
Yeah. French. I blame when
Sorry, German sometimes.
Exactly. When I don't know how to pronounce a word in English, I'm like, sorry, I speak.
It's totally fine,
It's
right?
fine.
But it's
we get
the
it.
empathy, you know, that you
empathy.
have for another person. And this is a really good gift as a woman. We have a big intuition. We always feel when something is off. We just need to use it. And that's another thing that I had to learn in my life. I was already tuned into the field very good, but I was blinding myself so good.
Yes.
It's like so interesting. I have stories, yeah.
But let's talk a bit about this because, so for example, before we get into that gut feeling, I want to understand. Now I'm going to talk about myself a little bit. I'm going to use my perspective, okay? So obviously, I'm not the only child, but I'm the only child for my mom, okay? But, it was always like my mom always pushed me to go make a life, find a career, be stable, be independent. They are separated, okay? They're divorced. So my mom, she doesn't want me, based on her past experience, she doesn't want me to suffer as a woman. She's like, listen, I want you to be independent. You need to be successful, yada, yada, yada. So over the years, I've built myself into, okay, I don't need anybody. I can do it myself. Like, I would rarely ask for help, even though I know I could ask for help. I'd rather get things done by myself. Even the way that I present myself in the office, I have a loud voice, so I want to be heard. So I speak loud, I'm very like expressive. Even, for example, when I enter the office, everyone always says, we know that you're here, because I am pretty loud, like to express my, like, hi, good morning, and I've realized that, yes, as much as being masculine helps me in the career wise, where I feel, okay, I've got everything under control. But as a woman, it is hard sometimes, because I even asked my best friend about this. I said, I don't even know what it is to be in her feminine energy, because whenever I'm thinking I'm feminine, I still have that little bit of masculine that still take over. So how do you just said yourself, you were able to still be feminine in your work environment, in your career. How did you do that shift? And how would you do that shift without, losing track of your career, but still being that feminine self?
First of all, what you just mentioned, how you act in your work life, it comes a lot actually from the wounded feminine side, because she wants to be seen and heard.
Yeah.
So this is not the right energy how to be seen at the end, or what you mentioned before, it came from this wounded. We want to get away from the wounded energies to be in this position where we have the healthy energies present and shift.
Yeah.
So it's okay to shift. For example, if you want to get a project done, I tune into my masculine energy and I'm, sitting, I'm planning, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm very dedicated and I'm using this power because I have this gift and I'm just using it. I switch it on and say, okay, now 1 hour focus time. Duk, 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 duk. But when I, for example, do a coaching session, I'm definitely more in my feminine side because I love to listen to my coachee.
Yeah.
So then I switch on my femininity and like, okay, so what are you saying here? Okay, why is that? I ask questions and I listen and okay, interesting. But the key element of it as well, I don't want you to think about feminine and masculine too much because this is a thing that happened in our world as well because we created duality.
Yes.
It's the feminine and the masculine, At the end, when we are coming to the conclusion of everything, we're just all energy. We were created out of energy, and when we die, we will be backwards going into an energetic field. So there is no duality. There is no masculine, there is no feminine. There is just one energy. And the most important thing is you need to find your own balance. You need to align yourself. You need to be with yourself in the center. And there are different options what you can do. You can start meditating, you can do breath work, you can do a journaling. There are so many things what might work for you. Some people, when they see, okay, right now I feel a bit more too masculine, then you should think about maybe as a woman, start dancing, start painting, start doing something for the creative flow to put yourself more into this energy. If you as a woman are too flowy and you need a bit more accountability, then search for an accountability buddy, do planning sessions, do like focused work. Or do sports like weightlifting. This is masculine, So you need to see on which side you are a bit imbalanced and bring yourself back to the center so it doesn't matter anymore. And then act from there.
Okay, I'd take that. And to be fair, it's so funny that you mentioned that because this year I realized ever since I've been a kid, I always loved dancing. Dance for me is beautiful. I was not blessed by a voice because I sing in my bathroom and in my car to my own satisfaction. But I am not meant to go, far in the singing world. But dancing for me was always something that I loved. The moving of the body, that relaxation, like you're not stiff anymore. I'm someone that does weights, so it's very stiff, very, but when you dance, it's so flowy. And this year I was even telling one of my friends who was in salsa, I said, you know what? I actually miss salsa. I want to get back to it a little bit more because it's been a while since last time I went. And do you know what? The first time when I actually thought about my masculinity as such was when I started salsa.
Oh.
So that was actually last year. I was starting because I wanted to really learn how to do salsa and properly in the steps and everything. So I went with my teacher, coach. I don't really know how you call my teacher. And as he was leading, and he was like, relax. And I'm like, I am relaxed. He's like, no, you're not. Relax. And I'm like, I am relaxed. He's like, no, you are, like, let me take control. And actually he made it as a funny joke, He was like, oh, you like to take control, right? In your relationship. And I was like, that's actually true. And it made me think more and more. And I'm like, yes, it is true. For example, in a relationship. And yes, I agree as well with what you said about the wounded feminine energy, because I as well don't have a great history with my dad, but eventually I'm doing the work, I'm making peace with it, I am more forgiving. Like I told you, when I came back from my trip, it was very a transformative trip because I was able to see my dad in a very different angle. Before it was anger, it was, you didn't do enough for me, you were never present, la la la. And now it's like, I get it, I understand. Okay, you were not perfect, but I forgive you, it's fine. We're adults now. And, I even want to spend more time with him because I'm like, he's getting old. When you see your parents getting old, that also hurts a little bit. And you're like, why am I so angry at them? You know, why am I giving them so much, like, how do you say it in English? So much anger, so much like hate almost, you know? Like, oh, you didn't do this. But I'm like, no, you make mistake. They can make mistake and it's okay, you know? So it's like, for me, it was really nice to be able to actually give my dad love and see him in a very different way. And that helped me a lot. I felt much more relieved, much more peaceful. And now when I think about my dad, I don't have that bad thought like before, you know, where I was like, yeah, that's true. I didn't get that because, for example, I know that relationship wise, I suffer a lot because of the lack that I have with my dad. But I'm like, okay, it's okay. You know it. Take action, work on it, and everything will be fine. Now, talking about relationship, we've been told so many times it's very hard. I think mainly in Dubai, I found it hard to find the balance, to find a man who is in his full masculine and allowing us to be feminine. Very often, I've heard friends saying, yeah, but he's complaining because I'm independent and I'm controlling.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, but maybe because he's not allowing you to be that feminine as well. I get it. I think women are automated, like in the sense that, okay, if you can't do it, I'll do it. I can do it. It's okay. But then that's how we're having repercussion in the relationship, whereby because they're doing, the man's like, okay, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
What is your perspective about this in a relationship?
It's a very good question. As I just had a moment a week ago where I tuned into my, as I was moving and I was putting my furniture together, right? And I can do everything by myself, right? I'm a woman and I know how to read manuals and do this. But it was as well nice that a man would offer you help to, carry some stuff and, construct it with you together. So I was actually like saying, okay, today I'm going to put it all by myself together. And then there was a man showing up and said, do you actually need help? And, I realized that I told him, I actually can do this by myself. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
But he said, I would like to help you. I'm like, oh, Nadine, sign. He wants to provide for you.
Yes.
Let him provide. So I said, of course, you can come tonight and we're going to construct it together. Thank you for the help. You just have to open yourself as well to receive.
Yes.
Because some men, they like to do that.
100%.
Yeah. So it is a very interesting game that you're going to play here. And this just works if you are both aware in which kind of energy you are right now. If you have a lot of problems and you've had a lot of traumas in the past, this is already good if you have awareness about that, because that's the first step that you can change yourself. So, maybe you had a lot of toxic relationships, but you observed already why this happened to you, right? So you know your patterns and you know what you could maybe do in the future to change that a little bit. I was similar like you, I know that I can do everything by myself. My past relationships, I was providing even sometimes for a man.
Yes.
And so I attracted as well men that needed that kind of thing.
Exactly.
So it's like, okay, how do I get out of this loop,
Yes.
Because I actually don't want to do this anymore.
Exactly.
So I think this year for me, it was a really crazy shift.
Okay.
It was one more really big slap in my face until I woke up and said, Nadine, there is something slightly off because you're not getting out of this loop. You're still attracting these men that are having narcissistic behavior, that are wanting even, being provided by you and not giving you the safety because they don't feel safe by themselves.
Exactly.
And they tell you actually, no, it's not my job to make you feel safe. And I'm like, yeah, I know that I need to feel safe by myself, but I want a man where I can lay in his arms and I just can be.
Exactly.
Exactly. And this is nothing to do with that I cannot be safe by myself.
100%.
But it's the man, I like to have a provider in a way. So I said, okay, so what is it that I'm still attracting that? Because it's my frequency. So I understood, Nadine, how are you actually with yourself? And that was the key question. And it always comes back to that because it has a lot to do how are you treating yourself.
And how are you treating yourself?
And I had to admit that for most of the time in my life, I was not treating myself really good. I was very harsh on myself. I had really high expectations of myself. And when I didn't reach something, I punished myself. I always blamed everything on myself. It was always my fault. And I see where that comes from. It was from another action in childhood where my mom unfortunately told me one day, because my parents were fighting a lot. And my mom told me once, I'm still with you because you are here. Otherwise, I would not be here in this constellation anymore. And I developed this belief of I am not worthy of love because I hinder my mom of being happy. Boom. So, but I understood that and I reworked that belief, thankfully. But it's a huge process and it is not the guarantee that you never fall back, but have the awareness. And so I had backfalls, I went into these situations because I had to learn, Nadine, self love. You are worthy of everything and give that to yourself first. So, what I did this year when I went to Germany, I did a lot of grounding. I went a lot into the nature, and the nature is very nurturing your feminine side as well. And I gave myself a lot of self love. And a very funny and silly thing is, I went into my basement of my mom and I took my teddy bear out. My teddy bear that I had since I was 5, he always was soothing to me. And I put him in the basement. And now I brought him to Dubai and he's with me. And this is self love. My inner child wanted to have something that feels safe. And that was the thing.
Exactly.
And that switched so much, and I just did, in this 2 months that I was over the summer in Germany, I just did things that really felt right for me. I took care of myself. I did a spa day. I was just walking around, spending a lot of time with myself, asking myself, what is it that you need right now to feel safe? How can you provide for yourself safety? What is the next step? And it's okay to take the stress away, to take this fast pace away. Don't put too much pressure. As you know, I stopped working this year a bit as I needed to heal certain wounds that I had. I went through some health issues in the beginning of this year and there was a lot of change. So I stopped working with my corporate clients that I had permanently and just focused on a couple of trainings and said, okay, now it's the time to take time off.
Yeah.
I never took time off in my life.
Yeah.
Because I never granted that to myself.
Yes.
And that has to do with self-love now too. It's okay to have like a sabbatical, or how do you call it, just a time for reframing, understanding, okay, the world wants you to do maybe something else as well. And you don't have to rush and bring everything out like do.
Exactly.
You can breathe.
Yeah.
And this is what I did. And that's shifted so many things. And I came back to Dubai and I was not dating much this year as I had to heal from something. But when I came back after summer here, something shifted. I went onto Bumble a little bit, yet I don't like digital dating that much. I prefer to meet people in person.
Yes, me too.
I went to a couple of networking events and I just met immense, nicely men. Like I went to a club, had a super crazy experience that night. I was invited to a table and this person, I thought when you get invited to a club at a table, they of course they want to have maybe something from you. But this guy said, Nadine, I just want you to have a nice time, feel safe, because I didn't feel safe in the club, as in front of the bar there were men that get drunk and approach you in a not so nice way. And maybe he felt it, so he invited us over to the safe space and he said, I want you to feel free, have drinks, have fun, we're here for you, we take care, nothing else. He even gave me money after the club and said, I want you to get home safely. Here, take a taxi. Call me when you're home or send me a message. No hitting on me, no anything, just make sure. He took me out the next week as we really had a good vibe. He just took me out on a nice dinner. We had a beautiful conversation. Amazing, Then we went into a bar, had a drink. He dropped me back home. That's it. Nothing else. Another guy I met at a networking event, he called me and he said one day, that was a week ago, Are you home? I'm like, yes, I'm home. I would just like to come for 10 minutes. I have something for you. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's all right. Come. So he came, knocked the door. I opened the door. He said, close your eyes. I was closing my eyes. And then I was opening my eyes again. Flowers. I was like,
Oh,
oh my Lord, flowers. I have met this person twice at a networking event and he gave me flowers. We sat for half an hour, had a talk, and then he left. You know,
that
these
is
things
so
are
nice.
happening when
Exactly.
you're vibrating on this frequency and when you know how you want to be treated as a woman. And I was shouting it out to the universe. I was shouting out to the universe, if I go to a club, I want to feel safe. I want to have a great time. I want to be surrounded by nice people. If I meet a man, I want him to be a gentleman. I like being treated like a king, a queen, a
Queen.
king. Oh, wow.
No,
No,
queen.
no, well, maybe a king as well. I don't know. King, queen. That was a good one. No, as a queen, I just want to feel good.
Of
And I
course.
like to be provided for. And that was an interesting conversation I had with a friend, another friend of mine, when it was at our ice bath session.
Okay.
I said, right now, I'm here to tune more into my feminine energy and I want to feel being provided for. And I love being invited to be taken out for a dinner. And I like the man to pay for me.
Of course.
And she said, cannot you do that by yourself? And I said, yes, I can pay for myself, but isn't it nice to just receive sometimes?
Exactly.
It's not that I want to use this man. I'm still paying back in a way because he has my presence. He gets my energy.
Of course.
So it's always, and that's what the man told me when he took me, for example, out. He said, Nadine, I just love to be in your presence. Your energy is like motivating me, inspiring me. And maybe he's running on to the next project and making even more money than ever before.
Exactly.
And that's the feminine side. That's how a woman should support their man as
Exactly.
well.
Yes, I agree. And I'm so glad you mentioned that because, also another realization, and I was in this whole journey of healing. It's been over almost, well, I'm coming to 1 year now. So last year, I was in a position, I traveled to Bali with 4 of my very good friends. They're my best friends there. And we went to Bali. And obviously it was a girls' trip, only girls' trip. And what happened in girls' trip? We open up, we talk, we cry, we laugh. We talked about many things, Part of the things that we talked was, I was telling them, they were like, oh, but you're so beautiful. You have such a good skin color. I said, I'm not going to lie to you girls, but I don't believe you. I don't believe when someone says to me, you're beautiful. I don't believe that someone says, you're adorable, you're loving. And I'm like, I'm listening. I hear you, but I don't receive it. And then I had a dinner with one of the girls and we had a chat and she's like, listen, you need to work on yourself. How about you pause on dating? I'm not saying not to date, just pause on dating, work on yourself. That's all I want you to do. And as hard as it was, because who doesn't like to have a man by her side? And I'm like, do you know what? Okay, I'll do it. If love happens, it will happen. Means it's meant to happen.
Yes.
But if it doesn't happen, then it's really the right way that I need to work on myself. I started hypnotherapy. I understood why I was feeling a certain way. I discovered that actually in 3/4 of all my relationship, I was the giver, barely the receiver, barely received anything. And I was like, I want to receive as well. Like if I can give, I can receive as well. I understood that I had standard and it was okay to have standard because, I feel part of when you don't have your confidence and your self-esteem, you tend to lower your standard. Whatever thing that will come, you're like, okay, then I'm deserving of, you'll grab, you'll be like,
yeah,
that's love. I'm going to grab to it.
I don't deserve more.
I don't deserve more. That's more than enough. I'm happy with this. It's like, for example, they give you a slice. That's how my therapist explained it to me. She was like, you get the crumble of the cake and you're like, that's enough. That's more than enough. I'll seize that crumble. I don't need the whole cake. But she's like, you are deserving of that whole cake. But I want you to go back to your inner child. I want you to understand why that inner child is thinking that the crumble is enough, why you're not having this cake. And it was very disturbing. It was hard. It was realizing a lot of things. And you realize, excuse my French, fuck. I was literally suppressing a lot of things. I was accepting a lot of things, but it's fine. And I started, and part of my screensaver is a picture of me when I was a baby. And I look at her and I'm like, you're cute. You're loving. I'm here for you. And throughout this healing, obviously, then I started with Mulai, which also enabled me to be more vulnerable, to be a little bit more myself, to be a little bit more like, like breathe a little bit on the Sundays. When I go, I'm like, okay, breathe. Just stop thinking and just breathe and just be present, This enabled me to understand and heal a lot of things. Now, I know I'm still healing. I know, and it's still a journey, that there are sometimes you tend to get back into old habits. But the difference is I know what I want. And I'm not going to go down. And even, it was funny, recently I had this scenario whereby I was like, I like that. I was having a conversation with a guy colleague, and I was like, oh, I like that. It's really nice. I like that conversation. Not my type, potentially not the kind of standard that I would look into a man or whatsoever. Then I realized, I was like, listen, this is what exactly you're doing. You're reversing it's like the universe testing you to see if you really healed.
Yes.
And it was hilarious. The moment I realized that, okay, do you know what? The universe is saying, are you really healed? Or are you just attaching yourself to crumbles? Because you could get the cake, which is over there. But this is a crumble. I'm not, no, but the guy is good, is an amazing. I'm not saying he's not a bad guy.
But it's not maybe the match for you.
He's not the match for me.
Good.
And I know that for a fact, and I'm like, same thing. Even when I went back home, I met my 7 years ex. Okay,
Wow.
He's the love. He's always been the love of my life, and I have so much high esteem for this man. He's someone I have a lot of respect, but I understood that he was not meant to be. And as much as it was nice to see him again, and we talked about the past, we talked where we're going in life, how he's happy in his life, I'm happy in mine. And I said, he asked me, he was like, would you ever come back to me? And I said, no, because I understood that as much as he's adorable, as much as he's perfect, as much as he knows me, and I know that he could potentially keep me happy, but I'm deserving of way more. And I'm not ready to settle for that. And that was such a revelation. And again, that's when I understood that, here you go. You're tuning into your instinct. You're tuning in. That's why we were talking about that gut feeling.
Yes.
And I think this is something that women really needs to tune in and listen to that gut feeling, right?
One more thing, what I just wanted to mention is you said about the healing journey, that you're still healing. And I just want to make people aware of as well that we are here on the planet to heal. So we're not going to stop healing until we die.
100%, yeah.
So it's not the goal of being perfect before you get into a relationship. It's more of like the thing what you're doing exactly right now is healing and going onto this journey and acknowledging, your steps that you already did, seeing when you maybe bounce back, but being aware. It's about the awareness.
Exactly.
Not being blindfolded, and maybe seeing as well, okay, now I started dating someone. Or am I still like missing the red flags? Or am I ignoring them? Or how do I preserve myself right now? Is it different? So you are kind of like learning on the stepping. And then I would say as well, a relationship can be super healing. If you have two individuals that are aware of the healing journey, then you can just literally grow and evolve together even more as if you would be single. That's why I say as well, it's nice to have a relationship, because you sometimes cover topics that you would never uncover when you are alone.
Exactly. That's true. Now, let's talk about Sisterhood UAE. Tell me, how did you come across the idea of, okay, let's have a Sisterhood UAE? How was it born? What got you into starting it?
So As we're both part of Mulai, our ice bath community, and we are there every Sunday holding space for the mixed groups,
Mhm.
I really loved and enjoyed this place. It was for me the safe haven. It was like a family. And
Yeah,
that was one of the reasons that I'm continuously telling as well at Mulai, that this was one of the reasons that made me comfortable moving to Dubai, as I had like a family.
of course.
So I've been part of Mulai since 2.5 years now, having the ability to facilitate with
Mhm.
Ian together and holding space. And I love that. There was one thing that bothered me sometimes. So we have a lot of men as well as
Yes.
facilitators, right? And I was often the only woman in that place. And I felt as soon as Ian had company of other men, I felt a little bit like left out. So it was very dominant in the masculine side. So I felt like, okay, I'm not heard, I'm not seen. So my
Mm.
female wounded side came out and
Yes.
was like, I do so much here. I'm holding space. I'm not getting acknowledged. These men are put up front. I'm sometimes being forgotten. So this doesn't feel right to me. I
Mm.
even had a conversation with Ian about that because I love to discuss things. When I feel
100%.
something, I have to
100%.
admit
Of
it and say,
course.
and he was like, "Oh my God, darling, I don't want you to feel like that. I'm so sorry." I'm like, "Yeah, but actually, thank you for doing that because that was the one thing that brought me up into Nadine, why do you always have men on your side or other people on your side before you take action into
Of
something?"
course.
And I had a vision that time, Nadine, it's time to start your own community. As I did a plant medicine retreat last year in Barcelona, and ayahuasca, she showed me a lot of things. And she showed me especially that I have to work more with my feminine energy instead of the masculine. And I saw that I'm here as well to bring feminine power into the human being kind. And of course, focus a little bit more maybe on the woman. So that was already clear in my head. And then I put piece and piece together. So I said, why am I not creating a safe space for women? As it is really important. A lot of women feel lost in Dubai, as it's a very fast paced city. You can get very easily distracted. You can feel very lonely. The dating scene can be super toxic
Exactly.
when you don't do your own work as well. So I see a lot of lost women that don't know to whom to speak. Even with their best friends, they would not cover some topics. And I had women coming to me, giving me, speeches about how of a victim they feel, of how they don't know what to do anymore, how to pull themselves out. And I said, they need a safe space to see that there are other women who are
100%.
suffering
Of
like
course.
them. And I need to educate them and tell them, darling, it's about yourself. You can choose. Do you want to stay in this victimization, or do you want to grow and evolve and elevate yourself?
Exactly.
And of course, this is easier when you have a support system. So that's when I said, okay, let's do something for the women. And I started last year in end of September a women's circle called Sacred Sisterhood.
Okay.
I did that in a garden of my friend
Mm-hmm.
until I traveled to Latin America end of last year. And I started this. I started a WhatsApp group and everything. But then I traveled for like almost a month. And then I came back and life happened. A lot of bad things happened beginning of January. So I needed to take time for myself. But I think in March, I restarted Sacred Sisterhood. And I wanted to just get a bit out in the network in a way,
Of course.
as I was never bringing myself really front in Dubai, as I was so busy remotely working. So I said, okay, now it's time that people actually get to know me.
Yeah.
Because when are women coming to you, they need to trust you. They need to see, she's doing this and that.
100%.
So that's what I started. And then I restarted it from March on until I left to Germany. And in Germany, I had this understanding of Sacred Sisterhood is nice, but actually you need to make it a little bit more into a business as well.
Mm-hmm.
As it's nice to be this flowy and doing things for free, but you have a worth, Nadine.
Of course.
You're giving your energy.
Of course.
You are allowed to charge as well for your services. And this is another learning what people have to do, especially as well in the spiritual world, that your energy is worth money because it's
100%.
energy flow.
Exactly.
Right? So I said, okay, how can I make this happen? that's when I decided, and I had a talk with Adil, who is doing Brotherhood, and I said, okay, really want to bring this to next level. So I took time to create a business model on the back for it, and I said, okay, instead of Sacred Sisterhood, I'm gonna call it Sisterhood UAE, as I want to attract women that feel like, you know, they need a support system, they want to grow, they want to maybe talk about topics that they've never talked about, and they want to have like these kind of like conversations in a regular basis, and then from there we can go onwards, you know.
Yeah.
Envisioning I have a worldwide network of sisterhoods,
Yeah.
you know, that's my vision.
Yeah.
But I decided to rename it into Sisterhood, as the sacred part is maybe just attracting the people who are already done the spiritual world.
Yes.
And I want to be a bit more open, because I saw as well, my purpose is bridging people, you know, when they are not yet completely aware. I want to open the door and say, look, this is the universe. You have 100 millions of opportunities. Don't limit yourself. And the spiritual path is one. But if you don't want to get there too much, it's okay. So, but we have a community where you have a safe space. And if you're happy, you can share something. If you are broken down, you can share something. And we are listening, you know, we are here and we are learning from each other.
Exactly.
And that's what Sisterhood is going to be. So I'm relaunching that whole thing in November this year, as I'm preparing a lot and I needed a space for it. Now I have the villa where I'm going to run everything. So step by step, everything is coming together. And for me, it's as well, you know, giving myself the time. It's okay to not overrush, but it's as well okay to take action. It's this balance, you know.
100%.
Some people, they wait forever and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, and never is happening. But I have this plan, and it's gonna happen. So we have our villa opening very soon as well. So I'm gonna start marketing everything, and yeah, it's gonna work out.
I really look forward to it, because I feel like with women, now I've talked about it, I don't remember with who, but I had this conversation with someone here on the podcast. I just don't remember with who, but I've talked about that. I had women friends in my previous, like when I was younger, where it didn't work out because there was jealousy, there was envy, there was all of that. But then I always say, when I look at my relationship with women nowadays, like I have 4 very, very, very close women in my life. These are like my ride or die kind of women. And the reason why I look at these women is because you can be low, you can be high, they will be here.
Nice.
Something happens to you, they will be the first one to celebrate you. Something bad happens, they'll be the first one to support you. And that's what is the beauty of women. We have that gift of being able to support each other. And I see this is sad, you know, when other women compare themselves to others and try to, it's like almost an unhealthy relationship with other women, you know, rather than if you shift that mindset and you're like, you know what? I'm so happy for you. And I look for you as a model, and I want to be like you. You know, I want to reach like you. What are your tips? Tell me. What did you do? How did you do? My friends are successful in their own way, you know? And I don't say I'm not successful. I'm successful in my way. They are successful in their ways. But I like to learn. I look at them, I'm like, wow. So it is possible, you know? Yeah. I'm learning. Like, even when I see, for example, you start your sisterhood, I'm like, it is possible. You can do it, you know? You take admiration and you remove that envy and that competition and that jealousy. Because what are you going to win? Like, what are you going to win in being jealous?
That's exactly, again, when we come back to the topic of energies, you know, when you are having envy, when you lacking something, when you say, oh, why is she having that and I don't? This is the lower frequency. This is the lower vibration. You are not going to succeed from that state. But if you say, wow, this woman achieved that, how can I get there? Do you have an advice for me? You are vibrating on another level. Yeah. And you're going to attract that.
100%.
Because this is the other frequency. Yeah. I always say we should work on really elevating ourselves up on the frequency of love, in the way of unconditional love. You know, we are giving the love not with the expectation of having this in return and everything, but just vibrating on the love frequency, because if you vibrate on that, the universe will take care.
Of
I did
course.
so many things in my life. I gave so much money to men that I know that they will never pay me back, but I made peace with it. I could say, I'm so angry. I lost so much money.
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm so frustrated. The money will not show up again. But if I say, okay, that was lesson learned, maybe that was the bill that I had to pay.
Exactly.
But I know from this side, there will the flow coming. The flow will come in. Maybe the women are coming to me. This business will thrive. This will happen. This, that. This is the flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Nadine, that was a beautiful conversation. So when are we expecting Sisterhood?
November.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm really looking forward to this. Where can we find you and Sisterhood?
Yeah.
If anybody wants to reach out.
Yeah. So on Instagram, Sisterhood UAE.
Yes.
And my Instagram is Nadine_Schwarz.
Okay.
No, Nadine Schwarz _official. Sorry.
I will put everything
Yeah.
down in the
Yeah.
description box so you can just
Yes.
click away. But before we end the episode, I have another tradition. It's a bit of a rapid fire question.
All right.
All right.
I like that.
Yeah, it's just some are very deep, some are very easygoing. Okay, whatever comes to your mind first.
Cool.
Okay. What's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
Breathwork.
Okay. Dog or cat?
Cat.
I knew this one, but I had to put it in just.
My love, Puma.
Early bird or night owl?
More night owl.
Okay. What's your hidden talent?
Channeling.
Okay. Tea or coffee?
Oh, that's a hard one.
I know.
Coffee in the morning, tea in the afternoon?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the same. Okay. What's the biggest risk you've ever taken and did it pay off?
Yes, starting my own coaching company, and it paid off. I will never go back to being employed, as it's not made for me. I need to have freedom.
Okay. What is the most valuable lesson you've learned this year?
Love yourself.
Okay. What is a misconception you think people have over femininity?
A misconception over femininity that these women are not able to do business anymore.
Okay. One word in your eyes that describe feminine energy.
Flow state.
Okay. Forest or sea?
See.
If you could choose one country to live for the rest of your life, where would it be?
Oh, Lord. That's not an easy one. I like a lot of different countries and I love to travel, living in means then as well not traveling at all anymore. Shit.
Okay, let's say once in life you get older, you retire and you don't feel like traveling. Let's say when you don't feel like traveling anymore and you would see yourself, okay, I want to base myself in that country.
I haven't found that place yet.
Okay, I take that.
Because I love Dubai, for example, but I know that I need nature. So Dubai, I have a deal with Dubai, I love to be here. This is my home. But once in a while, I travel to countries where there's a bit of this nature vibe.
Yes, I agree.
And so, yeah.
I agree because even for me, this year, I made a deal with myself that I had to go out of Dubai time to time because I don't know why I was punishing myself from traveling for a long time. But it's so good when you go to the beach, to the forest. Love it. Now, my last one is my favorite one. Okay. If you could give one advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Don't be so harsh on yourself.
Thank you. Thank you, Nadine, for your time. That was a
Pleasure.
beautiful conversation. Thank you so much. And we'll see you very soon, hopefully. Yes. Maybe in a year, we'll talk more about the sisterhood.
That would be amazing, hopefully, with a lot of sisters surrounding us.
Exactly. We can even have a chat with a lot of sisters and have a bigger group why not?
That
You
would
never
be
know.
amazing. Let's see. Manifesting.
Thank you. Oh, yes, we are. We are indeed. Thank you so much, Nadine.
Thank you for having me.
On this note, guys, I'm gonna love you and leave you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.